Jeff says no, but other people, you're only hearing me. Can you see? You should be able to see the main screen and the little video thing that I've got up. Let me know if you can. Can't hear, not see you, can't see you. Interesting. All right, well, let's do some troubleshooting here then. All right. Now let me know if you can see me. Yes. Thank you, Nicole and Jeff and everybody else. As always, where's everyone dialing in from today? I am obviously out in San Diego. That's why I've got the golf shirt on today. If I'm going to be enjoying some warm weather, I might as well dress the part as well. Let's see. We've got Halifax, Greg. And Greg, I think you have already booked your flights out to Vegas, haven't you? Good for you. Kenton, Manitoba. It's actually randomly one of the few places in Canada I don't know where that is, Cheryl. So, Brandon, Winnipeg, where are you in conjunction to those two? Ecuador, Melbourne. Melbourne. Hello, Nicole. And Katian. Ooh, wait, we've already discussed this. I'm not sure if I actually pronounced that properly. Kentucky, great state. That is a great looking state. Pittsburgh, India. Carolyn, thank you for dialing in. In Grand Prairie, Alberta. Denise, been there, done that. All right, so, we're at that juncture where we get to ask and I get to answer questions to the best of my abilities. So, one thing I did do last time, we got so many great questions that came in. Oregon, Annie, that's my state. That I neglected those people on Facebook. So I'm going to kick off today with answering those questions on Facebook. So give me a second here while I pull those up. Darren asked the question, and of course, just like any other, you can raise your hand, and then I'll get to you after I answer these ones. But Darren Hutchison, you asked the question, can you share your routine for making time for and consuming only the highest leverage education content that relates to your goals? How do you manage the content that comes to you via your inbox or via research that you really feel will help you move the dial in terms of your goals, but in an effective way that doesn't encourage context switching? Well, there's multiple different things that are inside the routine itself that I have. One is, using that idea of the daily log in the pile-up zone area. So the pile-up zone is all about, when you see things that are interesting, you can just throw them in there. And I use a little bit of a shorthand with regards to how when I'm skimming through, I know what it is that I'm looking at. I mean, just like everyone here, I have a paper preference, but I use the app because I like the fact that it's just cataloging things and it's doing all the calculations on the back end for me. But I have a shorthand for, each goal that I'm working for has like a shape, essentially, a shape and sometimes a number if we have a lot of goals. So a triangle, circle, squares. And so I know what I'm going through, and I'm looking for squares that relates to a specific goal that I'm going after right now, and I can stop and take a look at it. But when I see a good idea, I dump it in there, and my job isn't to process it right now, it's to process it possibly later, because I've got the things that I'm doing in my day or the meetings that I have and so forth. So that's one thing. The second thing is building in a day of the week that also might be there to handle the consumption of higher level, as you put it, higher level education. So I'm going through a financial leadership program right now, as well with a mentor of mine, and that has a specific day of the week where that is consumed, and then I've got the follow-up day where I check in with that particular mentor, because it makes sense, right? Like, I've consumed it the one day, the next day I'm probably going to have questions for that person. So that's how that works. So, I mean, again, it gets back to that theming out things can really help you, using the pile-up zone. And then it's also the mindset of pretty much all the information that we all need is at our fingertips at any point in time. I think what many people do is some of you are tying up too much of your important capital that should be being spent, on growing the business, and you're trying to grow all of your skills at one time. And I get it. I've been there starting out, and everything seems really important, and you don't maybe have as much money to be throwing out at, could be freelancers or other people to be doing some of these things for you. But I always question people on this, because with the amount of money that is spent by especially the people in this online education space, people that consume programs, if you added up all that money, you could have probably hired a full-time administrator to be handling some of these things, or you could have been paying outside individuals to be taking care of some of those things for you. So I'm all about just-in-time knowledge, because again, it's the application of it that matters to me, not just sounding like I'm smart. And and that's really where, again, even on these calls, I've had a few comments even privately from people saying, I can't believe how many answers you have to totally different questions, and some of that's just because A, I've worked in so many different industries, and B, it's just, B, it's execution and getting things done so that you can see the feedback loop of it all. And then third one is just the power of having great mentors and other people that have been able to install ideas into my head that I didn't have to go and read 19 books on, and it's that shorthand on life that they've been able to give me. So hopefully that helps, Darren, in some ways when it comes to your question of, highest level education content. And stop living inside your inbox as well. I get it that everyone's on lots of different newsletters. I definitely want you to read, any email that comes through from me, but it's nice to get lots of ideas from many people, but at the end of the day, you do need to find one or two or three people, maybe not in the context of everything underneath the umbrella of business, but it is good. It is a good idea to find, I'm going to commit to this one guy, Todd, for the next few months and really see if his system can help me execute and improve my performance. And I'm not going to, that's why someone came into the Facebook group right when we first started out and said, hey, Todd, do you have any recommendations on great productivity books? Why would you do that? That's what this entire program is about. Use this one to improve your productivity, and don't learn everything there is to know, because we need to apply it all first. So, Darren, hopefully that helps. April Wilson Perry. Todd, I really need advice when it comes to managing mindset and fear. I have a feeling you've dealt with this before. A little bit of background. Things are going beautifully in our business. We had our best month ever last month, and opportunities are opening up all over the place. I'm staying focused and using my entrepreneur scorecard each day, but I'm having trouble sleeping and breathing and eating. Yikes. Three very important things. Main reasons: I'm outside of my comfort zone most of the time. We've expanded our vision, and we are taking massive action. Huge product launch, corporate trainings, revamping our product offering. But along with that comes a lot of financial investments in things that don't pay off right now. And we are slowing down all activities that trade hours for dollars. I feel like we're in this weird middle stage where we are acting bravely because we believe that those actions will yield incredible results, but the process is incredibly uncomfortable for me. Your husband, you say your husband handles it much better than you. I would say he very well might, but he also might mask it better than you do. Main question: how do you handle fear and anxiety, especially in the short term, when it comes to finally taking that leap of faith and living your mission? It's a great question. So, number one, learn to breathe. People, because I've been out there working on mental toughness stuff for such a long time, and it's not the sexy idea that I would ever take out to the marketplace, but the reality is, if there is one thing that makes up a huge part of this idea of mental toughness, it's learning how to connect to your breathing. And that's why I've recommended this to people in the past, getting into meditation or just breathing strategies. So one is slowing down and just connecting with your breath, and maybe taking there's a book out there right now called, I think it's 8-Minute Meditation. Great little book, and I think it's a great entry level for people to just calm themselves down in some ways, because it is about, because when you're focused on your breath, you're not focused on that stuff outside of you. Second thing is just tweaking the mindset around this thing that you're dealing with. Is it fear? Is it really fear? There is a great video that I did with my good friend Marie Forleo on her Marie TV, where I talk about just the biology of change and what's going on inside of you when all of this stuff, which you're interpreting as anxiety, is coming up. And that's your story. That's not necessarily true. What you're feeling is the sensation of change, and you're then interpreting that as fear, possibly. That's the story that you end up starting attached to it, which isn't necessarily the case. And I get where you're at too. I mean, right now we are even inside of this business, we're in massive scale-up mode, and I'm making my business partner, Devin, if he was on the call, he would probably nod his head, very nervous about the amount of capital that we're outlaying right now in order to prepare the foundation even stronger for really, really large growth. And that's because of corporate things that are happening and software stuff, but and then, of course, the certification and consulting program that we're building out, and that takes a lot of time and resources and money to make that happen. But in the short term for you, don't forget that you got yourself here. So if you got yourself to this moment where you're at the place where you can be scaling and growing, that means that even if it did fall apart, you know exactly how to get yourself back to this point. And that's important, because before this moment, you said, you just mentioned that you're stopping the time for learning how to scale things up. Right, wrong, you're going to make mistakes. There's no two ways about it. You're going to look back on this last 3 months from now, you're going to look back on this 3 months and say, boy, if I did it differently, I probably wouldn't have invested in that person or that thing, or it just didn't move the needle. Yeah, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing. 3 months from now, when we unpack this, we're going to go, if we did it differently, we probably wouldn't have done that. But I'm not looking at it and going, oh, jeepers, I wish. My wife would laugh at me if she heard me say jeepers. It's just a learning process as well. So know that you've got the skills to get yourself back to this point. That's a big thing. And stay focused on the process. You're leaping so far ahead and attaching an expectation to it that it has to work out well for you, as opposed to just, there's two different types of expectations. In sports, there's not a movement out there, but many sports psychology people will talk about how expectations are bad, and that is not true. There's a nuance there to that. So expecting to win, which is the outcome, right? I talk about outcome, performance, process, outcomes, strategic performance indicators, and process. Getting back to that engine that drives the night of the year. If we only focus on outcomes, by their very nature, they will create high levels of stress and anxiety inside of us, because they are all about you not having full control over what the end result will look like. Just like the athlete cannot absolutely guarantee that they're going to win a game. They can influence it in many ways, but they do not have full control over it. There's many things. There's whether there's referees or umpires, there's the opponent and how well they're prepared, and there's your injuries, and there's so many factors that go into it. Us as entrepreneurs, if you have a launch that's upcoming, yeah, you can influence that launch in many ways, and you can know all your numbers, and if you hit all your numbers, the likelihood of it succeeding, pretty high. But again, you don't know whether or not the economy crumbles, whether or not we have another massive recession that hits and scares people in the marketplace just as you're about to launch something. Like, we can't control all those things. So right now, you're expecting something about your future that you don't have control over. What you can expect is that you're going to bring your very best. So my athletes and the entrepreneurs that I work with one-on-one, and then you guys too, is that we want to expect that we can bring our best to it. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting myself to perform at my peak or highest level. That's something that I have control over. I have control over whether or not I'm going to go to sleep at 10 o'clock every single night consistently, or 9 o'clock, whatever it is, and get that rest in so that I'm mentally prepared for stepping onto the field the very next day and performing at a high level. I'm the one who can control the food and the nutrition that I put inside my body that fuels me and keeps my energy at a consistent level throughout. I'm the one who can control how I manage the activities of my day. Everyone, I get that there's responsibilities outside of us, but at the end of the day, like, I'm the master of that steering wheel, and I will steer the course. So don't forget that. You can still stay focused on your process. Focus on this week, because this week, if you do this week well, then it's probably going to stack up into next week doing well. Or focus on today, and then focus on the hour, and then focus on the next 15, 20 minutes. That's where winning starts. It's all the little things. I have a couple of videos on my Facebook fan page that sort of details some of those things too. So I hope that helps. Little Miss Perry. Melissa, you ask, another question regarding using the app to its greatest potential. I've been a bit confused with themes and outcomes and didn't realize that when I created the theme or recovered it, that the sprint begins. Now I have sprints starting and finishing all over the place. Is there any way I can change the dates of the sprints to get them all in alignment and finishing at the same time? Yes, Melissa. If you simply just reach out to the app support team, they will help realign your entire sprints and reset them for you. Okay? And Christy Goodwin, question. I'm a young children's technology and development speaker and consultant, and since I've been tracking my time with NIDEAR, I've realized that I spend a lot of time reading the latest research. This is an integral part of my job as I translate the research into practical and digestible information for parents and educators, but it doesn't directly bring in revenue. Do I, A, track it as a lower-priced task, B, track it as a high-priced task as it impacts on my capacity to generate income, or C, spend less time on it, security blanket as a dynamic that I consistently need to learn, or D, other? Okay, so what you're talking about right there, Christy, great question, and I used to justify this the exact same way, but what you're doing is you're getting caught in this trap of trying to be flawless and perfect with all of your advice by covering off all of the T's and dot all the I's. Scientific people do this, and this is what trips those of us up, because we value being competent so highly with the advice that we give people that we fail to, in the past for me, definitely, I would fail to go out and implement or create a program around it. And that's because, I'm like, well, as soon as I get the program done, then there might be some new research that might come out, and yeah, well, then I'll iterate on that. And you need to figure out a pocket of your week that insights and iteration happens. So it could be Friday afternoons from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. That's when your research happens. The rest of the time, you're out there executing. You will get far more insights from unpacking the things that you know and trying to repack them up in someone else's head to create a behavioral change or an intellectual change in their behaviors, because that's where the rubber meets the road, and you get to really see, okay, well, even though this research might be fantastic, how's it doing in the practical application of getting people to change whatever it is that you're, which is, technology and development speaker. So A, I would track it as ultimately though, I would track it as a low price task, because that is still research. I can get other people to research that stuff for me, pay them to do that. I get that how you're doing it, you're interpreting it as you are your business right now, but let's say you scaled this thing up, let's just call it Christy Goodwin Inc., and there were multiple people below you. You would have a division of people called research that would be doing this for you. And then even if you were going to write a book on it, you don't need it like, what's his name? He wrote Good to Great, Jim Collins. He has an army of interns and researchers who works with him on all of his books, and most of them don't get paid anything whatsoever. Are all those ideas that are in Jim's book his? No, they're not. They're written by ghostwriters and his team. But it's his personal brand that takes it out there. So if you were going to go do a TED Talk on it, yeah, you need to prepare for that TED Talk. And now that's that preparation for the TED Talk, and you over the course of a week or 2 weeks really crafting this amazing presentation is possibly $1,000 and $10,000 activities, but all the research that went into it that your team helped you create that influenced the presentation, that was $10 or $100, $50 or $25 activities, more than likely. So again, don't get too caught up, Christy, in thinking that every single one of your days you need to be researching. I would pick a day and a half day at that. Again, I've told people that Sunday was always my, essentially self-growth Sundays. So that was when I would do, and still do the reading or the improving of myself, because now I've already done that on Sunday. It's fresh for Monday, and then that influences my week, and then boom, it starts again on the next Sunday. So, Melissa, hi from summertime in Australia. Oh, I'm sure there's a winky face there somewhere. I have a question that is going to be very relevant for my next 2-week sprint, and I feel like it's a stopping point for me. I'm a naturopath, and I'm in the process of niching down into one aspect of the business that I have a lot of personal and professional experience in, and going from a clinic situation to the online world. It's called the GAPS diet, which is gut and psychology syndrome, or in the case of my business, gut and physiology syndrome. I have niched my niche. But now I feel like I can't move forward because I have no idea how to find my people. I focus on women who have been not quite well for most or all of their lives, but of course there is no Facebook group for people like this. These women lurk amongst all sorts of groups and forums looking for answers as to why they feel so crap. I just don't have an idea where to start when it comes to finding them. Thanks for your time on this. These sessions are hugely valuable. And I see that there is already a suggestion. So, and Melanie gave you some right advice. Your people are already hiding, you're right, in other groups. And I've used this example before with people. If you're going to sell someone advertising services as a business, small businesses typically don't market themselves with paid advertising. They're scared of them. They're going to use word of mouth. They're just they amateurly or immaturely think that if I build it, they're going to be there. So the worst people to go and try and get them to, say, spend money on Facebook ads would be the people who have never spent money on advertising, period. Instead, the smart thing to do would be to go to people who are, already advertising on Facebook and reaching out to them, because maybe they're just unhappy or unsatisfied with the results they're getting. We've seen that enough times, even with posts inside of the group itself, with people, running ads and, just wondering what's going on because they're not converting. Or I would go to people that are already spending money on Google advertising. They've already shown that they will spend money on advertising. Very easy to convince those people. So these people, like, what is their, I've talked about situational marketing. What is their current situation? What are their tendencies? Have they tried other diets in the past? So, like Melanie said, targeting people who are on the paleo diet because they're making that shift because of maybe they think it's going to help them with their gut health, or people who are taking vitamins and supplements already. So you would be targeting those people that are fans of GNC or a specific like vitamin manufacturers or nutraceutical companies, or even a very specific a type, like a fish oil type people or something like that, because there's fan pages out there for that. They're not necessarily in groups, but there are fan pages that are out there. And then it's also who already has your market from, like, is it, you said that you're a naturopath. Are there chiropractors? Are there like yoga and meditation people? Because these are all people who have a propensity to want to go and buy this stuff. You don't know where they might be hiding and how you can go and target them. So don't be so specific where you're saying these women have been battling it all of their lives. You're trying to target someone who just has that problem right now. Who cares if they've been battling it all their lives, as opposed to just, is that a problem for you right now? But yeah, ping us if that doesn't help. But they're everywhere, and other people can give you ideas too. Pedram, you asked the question, my theme is all about building an audience. Do you consider working on a newsletter or email list as a marketing task or production task? I don't really see the difference, and I think don't worry about diving too much down into the minutia. I don't even know, what it is about that question that would cause you much concern. If I said it's a marketing task, is it going to, completely alter your life? Who cares if it's marketing or production task? I would still call that working on marketing. It's because it's underneath the marketing umbrella, because it's about lead generation. So hope that helps. And the last one here, before we go to live ones, this is from Maya. My very specific question is about 90 a year. How to make myself to sprint in those 2 weeks. I observed I'm able to be very productive 1 to 2 days in a row, blocking my time and getting things done. But then I have this moment of celebration mixed with tiredness, and I stop for the next 2 days doing a lot less. How can I keep my tempo and sprint without being the whole time under huge pressure that I should do it faster? Okay, the sprints aren't about me trying to run you guys onto hamster wheels. It's really just about constraining and focusing our energy on the high value things that are going to be moving us forward. So it's not about doing it faster, because faster doesn't mean better at all. There's a great book called Thinking Fast, Slow that talks about that as well. And don't go read it, because it is a deep book. It should be a sprint, not taking a walk. So in the second confusion concerns the themes. We have a theme for 90 days, but then for each month, week, and day, I think I get lost in the structure, and I suspect it has something to do with that feeling I'm not able to sprint. So as far as your theme, again, that's the organizing idea that's helping you make decisions on what is going to be the activity I'm going to engage in over the next 90 days. So if I'm a solopreneur and I say, just like Pedram has, that my next 90 days is going to be about audience building, that means that 80% of the time I have available to be working on goals, because you do not have 24 hours a day that you can be working on your goals, because there's, parts of your business that need to get taken care of. 80% of them is going to be about audience building activities. 20% is going to be about those other things that are still really important, but they don't fall underneath the theme of audience building. That could be something about a sales system that you want to get into place, or it could be just another subject that you're really interested in experimenting with throughout the 90 days that isn't really about that audience building thing. So your theme is just the organizing idea to help you make decisions faster. And then your 2-week sprints are all about helping you validate, hey, these strategies that I've chosen in order to build my audience and the processes I'm putting in place, or the projects that I've chosen to put into place, are all about, are they working? That's the point of us reviewing after 2 weeks. Is the strategy working for me? Have the tasks that I've chosen, or the processes I've chosen in order to attack those strategies, have I missed out on anything? Is there something that I'm missing here? How are they doing? What's my progress with those things? And if things are still moving forward and you've hit maybe your target with your SPIs, then you dial those up. So maybe it was, I wanted to generate 50 leads a day from my website. So then in 2 weeks, that would work out to, what is that? 700 leads over the course of the 2 weeks. Maybe I hit that number. So now I'm going to say, okay, well, if I can hit 50 leads a day, let's see if I can do 70 leads per day. Or maybe that's the threshold for you, and then you just want to maintain that number. You're going to maintain that number using the exact same process that you had used before. And now, the reality is you would increase that number just by staying on that activity anyway, because of the compounding effect of people that are on your list sharing your stuff with other people. So, but again, getting back to the sprint is not about running fast. It's about constraining our energies down into one focused area and effort. So, all right, so let's go to the questions here. All right, where are you? There we go. Okay. Andrew Herwinovich, let's unmute you. Hi, Andrew. Are you there? Hello, hello, hello. got something coming through. I hear you tapping, but I do not hear any voice coming through it.
How's that?
There you go, buddy.
Okay, yeah, it was the settings on GoToWebinar. Okay, great.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for this amazing process.
Okay, well, what can I do for you today?
I said the question, I suppose, is maybe strategizing. I'm in ramp up, so I'm kind of a coach, therapist, intuitive healer, and guide. I've been in practice on the intuitive side of things, working with mid to upper level executive, mostly women.
Okay.
Dealing with kind of life crisis, spiritual awakening, and how to integrate that into kind of a high-powered conventional life. And oftentimes as this process starts to happen, I'm going to have to give up my entire life and become a yoga teacher. And I sort of say, well, no, not really. The world doesn't need more yoga teachers. It needs more yogically minded people in all, places. Anyway, the big challenge is I do amazing work. I'm invisible and unknown.
Yeah.
And when I first started, I kind of naively thought word of mouth was the form, because the previous careers I'd been in was architect and builder, and before that a caterer and a chef. And both those businesses grew very organically through word of mouth. But, when you feed 600 people in the backyard, it's a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah.
When someone in a rather sensitive upper-level position is going through a crisis, they're typically not boasting about, the witch doctor. They're seeking for it.
Yeah.
So I've drunk a lot of different forms of marketing Kool-Aid over the last couple of years with not much success.
Yeah.
So any thoughts on the sort of a referral strategy, a funnel, because I was very interested a couple of sessions ago, you talked about having a consulting business and how you had grown that and engaged with, I think, very similar people.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are you based out of?
I'm in London.
You're in London. And are most of your clients in London, or are they elsewhere?
Thus far, they've mostly been in London.
Okay.
I mean, a few people have referred me to friends of theirs in, Zurich and Stanford and places like that.
Yeah.
And because of the referral, I would work with them that way.
Yeah.
And I do have, clients who've left London and gone to Australia and Ukraine and places like that, and they continue to work with me.
Yeah. Would you say on a rate scale you're at the high end, mid end, or low end? Where would you set yourself?
I should be at the high end, but because of lack of confidence, I tend to middle to low end.
Okay.
But I've had clients tell me that I should have charged them 2 or 3 times what I charged them.
Yeah, well, a lot of clients will say that after you delivered good service. So that means you can deliver really well, which is, a great thing. But then how much would have it changed the sales process if you did say that number at the very beginning? Maybe they wouldn't have ever gotten in. And so what type of executives are you? Are you in finance? Are you all over the board? And then secondly, those executives, are they in the C-level suite, or are they in that kind of mid-level management group?
They tend to be just below C-level.
Okay.
So, I've got someone right now who's like head of global IT for a major bank.
Yeah.
Hoping to become a managing director this year.
And she or he came to you because of what issue, and then how did they find you?
They actually came through a family member who had come through a work crisis, and they were seeing a body worker who'd done a workshop of mine. And the body worker said, the stuff in your body is not, it's not just physical. It's got these other dimensions. You should go see this guy.
Okay, explain that to me again. So the body worker told this person that the possible issues that they're experiencing are more than just a physical thing. They're a mental thing?
Mental/spiritual.
Okay. How many other people has that bodywork person sent you?
Actually, just that one person who
Okay.
has turned out to be a very, one of my sort of star clients,
Okay.
both in terms of referring on and doing a lot of work.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had that in the past where I've had what I would consider a pinwheel, someone that, I can throw something at that pinwheel, and because of its fan effect, they just automatically take it and spray it out to a whole bunch of other people. So those pinwheels I end up taking very, very good care of, because anytime we have an interaction, I'm top of mind in their head, and the next 2 weeks, they just spend their next 2 weeks either, doing email introductions with me or talking about me at some sort of thing, and that's in both the sports space and on the business side of things as well. But because you're doing a lot of local stuff, I would be really being intentional about who has my clients. Like when I really sit down and take a look at my clients, and this comes from whether asking your clients, hey, do you, just being curious, do you do yoga? Like, what do you do in your spare time? Like finding out where these people might be hanging out with, and then possibly starting relationships with those other centers of influence that might be out there so that they can send customers and clients this way. But more importantly, the bigger thing is you not getting too caught up in your process, because I get that the vehicle that you use to help transform people's lives is through the spiritual path. That's the way that you bring yourself to it. But that's not what a lot of people out there are necessarily looking for from a marketing point of view. So like, what are some of the big shifts that people make by working with you? Like, what does life look like now when they step into it after working with you?
Well, this is actually one of the, it's very funny because all my clients will say, my life is completely different, but I can't put my finger on it.
Okay.
But I mean, I can give you, what I would say is, stepping away from, speaking as a psychotherapist, methodologically, very simply, I teach people how to access capacities in the unconscious and superconscious mind to solve problems, to self-heal and things like that, and get remarkable shifts.
Mm-hmm.
What people experience or do report is whatever the presenting problem was, whether it was a relationship or something at work, a block or a fear that was holding them back, that has been, quote, fixed. But that's not really the benefit. The benefit is that they have this visceral sense of being connected to something much larger than themselves that they can draw on, that sort of has their back.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like the universe is on their side.
Okay. I get all that, but even you, I bet, saying it knows that isn't what people are necessarily going to ever, whether there's an online offer or even inside of a workshop, that's not necessarily going to be enough to move them across the line to want to work with you. Like, do you get that? I mean, I did that in the past where, because I was so sometimes ambiguous with the languaging, that people got that it could be somehow powerful, but they couldn't put their finger on what the somehow was. So instead, what this would sound like, if I was, say, a client of yours and I was giving you a great testimonial, I would say, in many ways it's hard to put my finger on it, but this is what I do know. Before I started working with Andrew, I had this, the moment I went up to grip the door handle on the office building, I would immediately get this sense of dread, because I was stepping into a place where I knew I wasn't playing up to my game, up to my level. I was hiding behind insecurities, which meant I wasn't speaking up in meetings and voicing my opinion, even though I knew the decisions that were being made in there were wrong for my business unit or for my team. And there were moments where I would play smaller around other managers simply because they had maybe more powerful, quote unquote, type A personalities than me. And I was sick and tired of feeling that way and hiding out behind those feelings for, what's felt like years and years and years. And it meant that I wasn't rising up through the management levels as fast as other people were. And the powerful process that Andrew walked me through allows me to open up that door now with a sense of confidence and drive, because I'm so connected to the real version of myself, and I can, without any worries or stresses, voice my strong opinions and values in those meetings. And I know that the way that I'm saying them, it is hitting people between the eyes, because there is a conviction there that I never had before. And those other managers that I used to maybe play small around anymore, I don't even view them as a competitive individual against, me and who I am and what I'm trying to do. But I am so, connected to basically that power, whatever that power is. It's hard to say what that is, and I think we would all say that it's hard to say because it's a very personal thing for us. But that's what now my experience, what it's like in the business world. And because of this, I've gone through 2 different pay raises in the last, 5 months. I've been promoted, and now I work with a team. I have a team of 18 people that work underneath me. Like, that's the kind of languaging that needs to be a transference of the experience, right? And that's probably what maybe you've helped people do.
Well, actually, my poster child was the the head of a research lab here doing kind of Nobel quality questions.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound kind of crazy, but they're going into an altered state, and they're talking with materials that have yet to be discovered. They're coming back with diagrams of crystal lattices and things like that.
Yeah.
Where somehow something in the collective unconscious is speaking to them about how to discover this material.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, what that's saying is because I know the intellectuals really well. If I was standing in front of them at a workshop, it would be like, how many of you have read more than 200 books or 200 research papers in the last 7 years? Raise your hands. How many of you have read 400? How many have read 800, 1,000, 1,500? Now, here's what I know, and I think we would all agree: our conscious capacity to be able to recall those things in the moment when we want innovation or we're looking for answers is a very challenging thing. So here's what I know. There is this massive storehouse of genius sitting inside of every single person that's sitting inside this room. And yet what we don't do a very good job of in our society is teaching people how to access that, how to get to a calm and centered place so that we can access it. Not because we're trying to be yogis. Maybe some of you do. But because we are so committed and in love with the thing that we're trying to uncover about this planet or about this earth, that it prevents us from really making the dent in the universe, to use a Steve Jobsium, like we want. And so, now you're getting to it. Now it's like, now what you're saying is explicitly painting for me a picture of, oh, yeah, that's right, because that's what I want, and this guy might be the vehicle to help me get that thing.
Yeah.
Right?
You're sort of blowing my mind, because I have a whole training on creativity and inspiration and problem solving.
Yeah, so but it's because my mind is always trying to go to, what is the person, like, what do I, door handles? What else do I do? I sit down, and I just had lunch with my wife at a cafe down on the beach. So the more more times I can speak in a way that sets people into the settings of their lives, and we've all had it where we sat at lunches or dinners or gone to a movie by yourself, and in that there's just a dialogue that's happening. And when you can start figuring out what that dialogue is, and it's not rocket science, I mean, you can go straight to the frickin' horoscope pages and find out what the dialogue of humanity is. Now you're connecting and resonating with people. But your front end thing that you need to be talking to people about is not about, how to holographically connect with the spiritual universe. That's not it. It would be like, attention scientists. If you have I would need more time to play with it, but attention scientists, if you have an untapped storehouse of intellectual genius that's sitting inside of you, and this is a very long headline, that has the answers to many of the problems that you're working on, but you just can't seem to access it, then I'd like to give you this, free guide on how to go through a 3-step process for connecting to the wealth of information that you've already consumed to pull out answers that are needed today or something like that. I mean, now it's getting a little bit more tangible and visceral because it's solving the problem that I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. Thanks.
But continue to play with it. And I mean, once you have something, throw it inside the group and see what others think too. Yeah, and I mean, you're in that space and in that world, Andrew, where you're talking about universal consciousness and things like that. And I get that there's a power there when you connect to it, because I've lived in that world, working with athletes on imagery skills and stuff like that. But we need to find a way of connecting it to what their need is.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I've and this was true when I was a therapist. You very quickly realize people don't care about your therapeutic model.
Yeah.
Just you can make them feel better.
Totally. And if you can do it in 7 days, even better.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what I can say is this way of working with people is people can do in a session or two what would take months or more.
Sure.
In conventional talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks.
Thanks for the question, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Be well.
Veronica Conway, you're on the phone. Let's see if this works.
Hi there.
Hello, Veronica.
Hi, Todd.
Hello.
That was amazing. That was amazing reframing of his. That was mind-blowing. So thank you for that. That was very helpful. Whew, okay. So my question is, thank you so much for the program. And I am in the process of sort of validating the messaging for a product. I've had this product for several years.
Yeah.
I've retailed it for about $200. I have it on sale right now for $97. I just emailed my list. I put it on sale for half price. 10% of them viewed the video sales letter, 10% purchase. I'm kind of validating right now. I'm kind of validating my conversion rates.
Yeah.
I also concurrently am taking people who previously purchased it and taking them to a little bit of a class/focus group to kind of get their feedback about messaging. Because even though I know the product works, I've never validated the messaging of the product, and I want to scale the product sales up with BSLs and Facebook ads. But I've never really validated the copy.
Yeah.
And so I want to do that. So in addition to the validation framework, is there something else that you would use to validate messaging with the people, since I'm going to have them in a focus group?
Oh, messaging is a tough thing to use for focus groups.
Okay. Because they don't really know, do they?
Yeah, well, because you got to avoid confirmation bias. So, like, if you had people that already bought, and you go, like, I mean, for me, so I'll say, like, we just paid attention to a lot of the things that people would reference when they got into the 90-day year program from the first couple of launches that we did, and one of the big things that hit people between the eyes was the whole idea of context switching. Now, context switching sat in video 3. Now, in any sort of video sequence, launch, you're always going to have a diminishing return. You're always going to have, most people are going to watch video 1 and video 2, video 3 because people are self-selecting. They're going along, right? So the most powerful concept that seemed to be moving the needle on why people were buying was sitting on video 3. So what we did was we moved it to video 1, and so that it hit them straight away, and we saw a very big difference in retention rate through the launch on this last one. There's a lot of other things at play, so it's really hard to isolate what was the many needles that are being moved. So, but anyways, I paid attention to it from an observer point of view. I did ask some questions. Hey, what's the need right now? I mean, that used to be a post that was in the groups when people first came in. I didn't do it for this one, but it would be like, hey, what, you just bought, because I mean, literally it was the first post. You just bought. Why did you buy? What is the situation you're dealing with right now that caused you to, click the buy button and get into the 90-day year? And some people would say, they're like, well, I like your kind of, for lack of a better term, no bullshit style. I like the fact that you had a sports background because I knew that you were going to coach in a very different way than other people and that you had worked with really high-level people. So those then become things that we put out as, elements of positioning in the market. Maybe because those other few launches I really didn't talk about the whole sports stuff as much, whereas in the launch that you would have come through, I did talk about it a little bit more. Because it's a resonant thing. Is it the big reason? No, it's a multiple things. But asking people to validate the copy, I mean, the only way validation happens. The great thing about marketing is you're validating based on shares and likes and people buying, essentially.
Correct. Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. So I'm about to go back out and do some retargeting to about 9,000 people, and then I have Facebook groups that I think are in my target market that have several million people in it. So I think I'm just going to post the VSL in there, the video sales letter, and just run with it and see what happens.
So you're going to
do the VSL converts.
Okay. So how expensive is your offer?
Right now, I put it on sale this month for $97. It's typically $197.
Oh, okay. Okay. What's the market?
African Americans.
In what though? Is it sports? Is it business? What is it?
No, well, what it is it's a hypnosis program that I've developed that helps people dissolve in what I call internalized racism and victimthink, and it's like a culturally competent hypnosis program.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Have you listened to the podcast I did with Latham Thomas?
No, I have not.
Oh, go listen to it. You'll like it because I mean, I talk about the fact about racism all the time, and how don't revere me because I've got some sort of levels of success. The reality is I'm white. I'm a white man, and it has nothing to do with racism. It's just a reality.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with a lot of other things that a black man would have to deal with, or a Mexican, or a female. Like I mean. I just don't. I haven't had to deal with that as much. Like I really respect people who do come from those different backgrounds because they did have to overcome more obstacles and challenges than I did. I mean, and it's not about putting myself down. It's just reality. And I mean, the more people try and hide behind a full reality, the more we don't actually ever get to the point of solving it. I mean, that's a big thing.
I adore you. I adore you for saying that. Thank you. I adore you for saying that.
Latham, I said, anyways, I don't know if you know who Latham is, but she's, a black female, and she's built a great little, not little, but a great personal and brand for herself. But anyways, yeah. Anyways, getting back to your original question, messaging is a really tough thing. You could maybe do it with some of your, business peers that you really respect when it comes to getting copy help or something like that. But just pay attention to what's happening inside of your groups. You'll get way more insights from that. Like I get way more insights from you guys. I mean, the languaging that you guys give when you come in and voice your problems and your questions, that is the copy, right? Like that's why I don't need to reinvent the wheel. You guys are already doing that for me so that I can be better at getting people like you into programs like this to, help them execute and change and, ultimately help you reach those goals that can help you transform the lives that you're living. So.
Yes. Okay, great. I think I love your questions about what's the need right now and why did you buy, and that can just be a simple part of the follow-up sequence. I'm putting them into a long-term sequence anyway. Just I'm trying to put this. I have eventually I have another big ticket offer that I'm going to be doing a little bit later in another sprint. But I just wanted to get this up and running and sort of optimize and just get it running in the marketplace, and then do my next level thing. So, but I love your
Veronica, I mean, this could be,
yeah.
and Veronica, this could be something as simple as, and in another sports program I had this, but as soon as people bought in the actual email, it's going to have their membership information or the product information for them to download.
Yep.
But in it, I just said, I have a special video that I want you to watch right now before you even get into the program. And I took them to just a simple page, which just had the video on it, and it was 45 seconds, and then right below it was just a field for them to just type in the answer, and it was just simply, the video said, hey, thank you so much for joining me inside the Champions Challenge program, but I've got one question I want to ask you right now because you're fresh into this program. Just 5 minutes ago, you didn't put in your credit card details were not in the cart, and yet now they are, and now you're on the other side. But I want to know, what was it about the place that you were at that caused you to see the Champions Challenge as something that was going to help you change? Type it into that text or that message box below, because it'll help me, A, get to know you so I can serve you better, and B, also help you to maintain the frame of whatever that problem was. This thing will help solve it. And don't forget that, because this is the vehicle that will help you happen.
That's perfect. That's great validation. That's perfect.
Cool beans. Thanks, Veronica.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. All right. Holly Beckman, you're up to bat.
Hey, Todd.
Hey, Holly. How are you?
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Awesome. So first, I am absolutely loving the program. We've already increased our annual revenue from a little less than $10,000 to $100,000 in 30 days. We're stoked. Yeah, it's going really well.
That is exciting.
We are excited. That's all the new sales. My question really surrounds our initial beta clients that we've had on like a freemium model for about 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And now we're ready to transition them off of that into a paid model. I'm struggling with getting the wording right to not sound like I'm apologizing for taking them to a paid model.
Okay, so run me through this business model again, just quickly.
Sure. It's called Apartment D. It's like the eHarmony of apartment hunting. I'm your marketplace girl, so I sell to landlords, but we advertise to renters.
You're a brave soul.
It's going like gangbusters. I guess that's the good part. We cracked the code.
Totally. So you've been doing this, and it's been a freemium model up until now?
Right, just to get the inventory from landlords.
Yeah. And now you're going to be going back to the landlords and saying what?
I've always told them that there would be a point where they would come off of the free model. So now it's, hey, the subscription model is $250 a month per property. So for one property, that's no big deal. A lot of these guys carry like 90 properties.
Yeah.
That's a bigger deal.
Yeah. Okay. And can you be putting together a package though, where, because for you there's no additional cost for inventorying people on your website with more properties, right? Correct. So is there something where it's, you've got, your first property is $250, and then properties 2 to 5, it's, $1,000 a month. Properties, if you're in the, 6 to 15 range, it's, 2,000 or something like that. Like, can you do it that way?
Yeah, I could. I definitely could. I had kind of suggested just a buy one, get one free kind of deal for the next 6 months. but
Yeah.
a package deal also works.
Yeah. I mean, it's like anything, just um, take a look at the pricing models that are in place that those people are used to. And so, like, the more, like, sometimes we just overcomplicate our markets. We try to take out a pricing model to our people that they're just not used to, and then what it does is it creates friction in the buying process. They're like, hey, let me get this straight. You're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and we just try to get too sophisticated with it. But if they're used to buying things in some sort of bulk capacity, then it's like, okay, well, I get that. Like, I understand. And that's where even in your languaging, you're like, just like you're going down to the Home Depot and you're buying, a pack of lumber for, $40, we're providing, people can make those connections far easier. That's even just the art of, influence and persuasion, essentially. So, but I don't feel like I've answered your question, though, about you going out and apologizing, though. So you're wondering about your messaging. Do you already have your message written?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And it's more...
Can you say it in like 30 seconds?
Maybe if I looked at it. I tried to just go into, hey, we appreciate you as some of our earliest adopters of the program. Our traffic has grown like gangbusters. We're now even seeing our renter traffic double per month, and it has consecutively for the past 6 months.
Yeah.
So we know we're delivering leads to you. We feel really confident about the quality of traffic that you're getting.
Yeah.
And your leasing agents are receiving. Now's the time. We're really excited that we're going to this new model kind of deal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the short version off the top of my head.
Yeah. So, I mean, the one thing about your languaging that I think is there is you're maybe placing a little bit more like responsibility for your growth on the early adopters than really should be there. We want to thank them for being early adopters, and you can do that in a sentence. But what we don't want to say is, hey, because of you, we now have this great inventory of people that are coming to us. Because then I sit there and go, yeah, well, that means I helped you build your entire, and then you want to charge me for it. And I'm not saying that that's how everyone will respond, but I'm like, there's a way we can, say thank you without me saying, oh, well, it's only because of you. And you can say, like, because of the power of the great inventory of apartments that we have on XYZ website, and the power of the marketing engine that we've been putting out there in the marketplace, and the, are you spending money on advertising?
Yes.
And so it's, and the amount of money that we're spending on advertising to bring more eyeballs to XYZ website, we're at a place right now where, and we've, just like we talked before, we're gonna be rolling out our subscription model for all of our users. But because you are because you're a part of that group that's been with us from inception, we are going to be rolling out a special. So it's like, hey, you have helped us, or you've been with us from the beginning, and so because of that, and because we're moving to the subscription model with all of our people, we're going to give you preferred pricing over anyone else who joins up with us after this point.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
And here's the reality, and because this is really one of your ultimate questions is, yes, you're going to get backlash. Freemium model to paid model always does. Always does. That's why in the software space, typically people hate it. Anyone who's been in software, I mean, even the software advisors that I'm using for, do you know Dan Martell by chance?
I don't.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you came in because Dan is really big in the software space. So, I thought maybe you came in off of his list. But like Dan advising me on some of the software stuff that we're doing, I was talking about getting more users inside the 90-day year app as a standalone thing outside of the program, and doing a freemium thing, and he's like, don't do it. It doesn't work. It's really hard to make work in the SaaS marketplace. So yeah. Anyways, the point of that is, hey, put your big girl pants on because you're going to get some backlash.
Word. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, but I mean, but think that stuff through. Hey, what's the best response that we can give people that's going to make them, you're going to get some F-bombs coming your way. And I mean, typically and this comes from back in the days when I was running restaurants and stuff like that, the angrier people got, the calmer and nicer I became with them. Not that I was relenting with them, but I'd be just like, oh, really? That's saying that you're that angry sitting down in the first world country here and your steak just came out a little more cooked than you wanted. You realize that we can take care of that and get you another steak. Your life isn't collapsing around you because of that. So I wasn't necessarily exactly talking to them that way, but anyways, scripting those things out because you're going to have those responses.
For sure. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right.
Well, congrats on the 100K. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, we're
huge.
excited.
Good for you. You're at a total. If you're doing 100K, you're at a total tipping point in that business then. So if you can do 100K, you can do $1 million by April 1st, which means even though you don't have to buy drinks in Vegas, you're going to pretend to buy me a drink at the live event party on the Friday night, okay?
Absolutely. We're cheersing for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Holly.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Go to Sharon Gelfand.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thanks. I'm loving this program because the biggest thing that I've had trouble with is focusing. I have such ADD, self-diagnosed ADD, and I'm having trouble with finding the right VA to help me with my systems and not so much systems, but with connecting my lead pages, my autoresponders, just connecting all the dots for a program that I've been using live that I now want to take online. And I guess I just want some advice on how do you really find the right person who's going to be responsive and work with you and get you what you need on a timely basis, because I've been very frustrated and has not been working, and I've just been stuck for a month trying to...
Very easy. I reach out to, and Trivinia is one of the ambassador coaches. She has a VA services company, and I have never had one person have a bad experience with working with Trivinia. What she does is she goes out and finds VAs, brings them in under her umbrella, helps train them, and then still maintains a relationship with you. In that's who you'd be paying is Trivinia. But you're working with your VA, but she's constantly doing additional trainings behind the scenes to help continuously grow the skills of your VA. We have 2 or 3 people even inside of our company that Trivinia has sent our way, but reach out to Trivinia.
And so she's in the group?
She's one of the ambassador coaches. The little banner we have as the graphic, you'll see her friendly face up there, and Trivinia will connect you. And Sharon, if you just want to, actually, Kelly, can you send a private question to Sharon inside the little chat here and get her email, and then you do a connection with Trivinia? That would be great.
Thank you. Simple
Bingo,
question.
bango, bongo.
Thanks.
You're welcome. See, that's just how easy it is. Sometimes it's just finding the right person. All right. Let's go with Kenneth Graham. Give me 1 second here. Oh, Ken, you've got your mic muted on your end, just so you know.
How about now?
There we go.
All right. Hey, so I was wondering, I've been teaching yoga for 15 years.
Yeah.
And about 3 years ago, I became disenchanted, just turned off by the yoga marketplace and wanted a paradigm shift. So I still teach yoga, but I took my name off of my domain, my domain name, because I wanted the business to be more about, number one, the community of people I was teaching to, and then number two, to express the idea that yoga and the integration of it are happening in all aspects of our life. Really, my question is it a mistake to take my name off the front of the business, off of the domain? I mean, most yoga teachers say, like, Kenny Graham Yoga or so-and-so yoga.
Yeah, I mean, there's no right answer to that, Ken. It's going to be based on your vision as well. it's the peak athlete. It's not Todd Herman. And I mean, I've always tried to build businesses that are not personal branding centric because I like them to be about the idea more than Todd. And even this, like, I mean, you guys can all see this genesis happening over the next even 18 months with the 90-day year. You'll see probably in many ways me pulling back away from, because I mean, that's what I mean. I'm trying to highlight what the 90-day year is about, not Todd. So I've used some of my backstory a little bit with the idea of the 90-day year, but I don't want people to just join up into the idea of the program because they want to get, close to the guru or something like that, because that's just not my style anyway. So, but again, that's because the vision I have is just way, way bigger than myself. Plus, from a culture point of view inside the business, I want people to fall in love with the culture of the business and not the culture of being around Todd, because that just creates a whole host of, I think, issues when it comes to retention of staff and things like that, because I've got friends who have those types of businesses, and if you have a bad day, now all of a sudden the business has a bad day, whereas if the culture is amazing, I can have a bad day and it's not going to affect the morale of the team or something like that. So kind of going off track a little bit, but
no, that's exactly
it just depends. Like, I mean, if there's, so what's the name of your kind of yogic principle?
I know. So I took it was just Kenny Graham Yoga, and then I turned it into, and I don't know if it makes sense, I turned it into what's called no mat nomads, like no yoga mat nomads, meaning that the idea is wherever we are, the practice is happening, or wherever we are, we're looking to integrate our experience. And so the idea is to take it off the yoga mat and make it something more, and then use that as an umbrella for other types of things.
Yeah, so I mean, how I've seen people do this well, I mean, this is people who. So are you a local, or do you have a international kind of online brand as well?
Yeah, I'm more word of mouth, but I travel Europe, Latin America, Canada, United States. Yeah.
But you're the driver of it right now, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, I mean, what I've seen people do really well is it's Nomads.
Yeah.
Powered by Ken Graham.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And then eventually the powered by leaves it, because now the idea takes hold. If there's groups of people who've been able to build a movement around something, I mean, the people from SoulCycle. Are you familiar with SoulCycle?
Yeah, it's up in San Francisco. I know it well. Yeah.
Well, they're all over New York City as well. And I think they might have started in San Francisco. I'm not too sure, but SoulCycle is a great example. The gentleman behind CrossFit. I mean, CrossFit proliferated so quickly because he broke the fitness model, which was always, if you wanted to start a gym, you had to go to some of the big guys, whether it was whoever they are. I can't think of their names right now. But then you got to invest $150,000 in the franchise, and plus you got to buy all the equipment. Now you're $250K in. Whereas he went and said, hey, you can buy a CrossFit franchise for $7,000. I think it was $7,000 or $7,500.
Yeah.
Boom. Now that opened up the market to his idea to get up, because I mean he thought the idea was more powerful than just the business itself. Like that's what he was doing. That's a strategic play. Like that, people look past. They're like, oh well, the reason that CrossFit grew so quickly is because it was a simple idea. No, it wasn't. Because at the end of the day, you still need distribution. Mm-hmm. And so it was his strategic decision with his distribution. That's why I'm trying to really impart in you guys over the course of the 90 days is, my biggest win for you, while it's great that here the Holly is, having dollars ring up in the bank account, the big win for me is when people come up to me and we're in Vegas and I'm drinking a Heineken Light and, you toast or something like that and you go, the strategic muscle in my head has been completely transformed. That's the power of running these 90-day year and then ultimately the 2-week sprints and following this outcome, performance, and process model. your brain cannot help but be transformed.
Yeah, it's already happened. I can see in my business just there's a new energy inside me, and it's reflected in the people I'm meeting and the business itself. Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, so anyways, I mean, Nomads, there's a cool idea there. You can say powered by Kenneth Graham, so there's maybe just a little bit of a personal touch to it, but then eventually the idea becomes so big that it's not just about Kenneth Graham.
Yeah, that's my idea. I don't want it to be just about me. That's what kind of turned me off in the yoga world. I just want something different. All right.
But here's the thing, though. And I mean, we all have these preferences as well, and I mean, I get that that's a preference for you.
Yeah.
But be very mindful that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So while you don't like the whole personal brands thing, what are the elements that they're doing right that you can then bring into your business? I mean, I can be that way. There's a few people in the sort of guru-ish space that, you know, I don't care for their messages necessarily to what they're taking to the market. But what I don't do is I don't throw everything they're doing out with the butt. Just because I don't like that message doesn't mean I can't take ideas or inspiration from some of the elements of what they're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So, and that's just, hey, like, we want to be mature about how we are as business people. And I'm a converted because I was never that way. I was like, you know, screw you, that's a stupid, you know. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, because it worked for a while. The Ken Graham yoga worked. It really worked. But then I just wanted to make it about something bigger, something else.
That's great.
Myself. All right, Todd. Thank you so much, man.
Cheers, Ken. Are you coming to Vegas?
Yeah, I'm talking to my wife. We have a baby due in like 2 weeks, so I'm hoping.
Oh, wow. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thanks so much. So happy.
Yeah. Well, I won't be doing any convincing to a new dad, but
I'm going to try to make it for sure.
Eventually, you will have to make that first trip away from your little one, so you might as well make it as soon as possible.
I put it in my wife's ear today, right before this call.
Great stuff. Well, cheers, buddy.
All right, cheers. Take care.
Bye. All right. Let's go to, where are you? There we go. Michelle Ellis. Hello, Michelle. Hello? I can hear you now.
Can you?
Yes, I can.
Oh, hi, Todd.
Hi.
I didn't realize that you recognized me.
Oh, well, you've got your hand raised, so I'm calling you. Do you have a question?
Actually, that was an accident, but since I'm on, I have been marketing products, but I find myself more interested in web design rather than selling these products. So I don't know if it's a good thing to do a switch or another business.
I definitely would need more, I guess, context. What do you mean you're selling products?
Like beauty products.
Okay.
Right.
So
right.
you have like an e-commerce store, or you're selling them on Amazon?
Not a service business, but I designed my own website, and I find myself liking that more.
Okay. It's one thing to like something, and it's another thing to turn it into a business, though, because you did it for yourself because it was a creative extension of some goal that you were going after. But, and I'm not telling you not to become a website designer, but yeah, I don't know if I can make I can't make that decision for you in like a 5-minute Q&A type of thing. And that's something that you've got to probably sit down with more than anything. And the resources that you have and the money that's coming in off of your current business, would you be able to step away from it? And with the financial hit that you take by trying to grow your web design business, could you handle that?
Okay, that's something to think about. Thanks.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, if you wanted to dabble in like a website design thing and you've got some friends who need websites designed, then there might be something there where you can, you know, test out the waters, you know, with hopefully a friendly face with, you know, a friend or, you know, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. You're welcome, Michelle. Okay, Anita Burrows. You're on mute, just so you know.
Sorry, I hit the question button by mistake, Todd.
Oh, you don't have a question for me?
I don't, but thank you.
Okay, but you're coming to Vegas, right?
Absolutely.
Perfect. That's the only purpose of today's sports session, everybody, is I'm just here to close all of you to make sure that you're all coming to Las Vegas because I want you all to be there. Thanks, Anita.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, then let's move on to Samantha Tan. Hi, Samantha.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me this time?
I sure can.
Oh, great. I'm using my headphone this time. Thank you. I have been really enjoying this program. I have started about a month ago, and it had some small wins, which I'm really happy about. I thought I didn't. After 2 weeks, I was really focusing it, and I was concentrating using the apps. And unfortunately, my first strategy, because I'm actually on online business coaching, and the first 5 months I was actually using certain platform, search engine, and I was totally into the strategy. I think I've gave myself 100%, if it's not 110. And there are small wins, but 5 months, I think the results wasn't really as fast or as large as I would hope it to be.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at another platform, which is going to be in YouTube or the webinar side. And because I've already been through the first stage, I'm in startup. My question is, when you actually start a business, and I was listening to one of your podcasts with Angela Kim.
Yes.
I was very inspired. And my question from that session is, how do you actually calculate risk? What are the elements? I can actually think of a few things from my first 5 month experience, but I just like to have a little bit more heads up so that I will be a bit more aware because of the financial constraint, I have limited financial resources. I do not want to go through another 5 months and then find out that, oh my goodness, I'm losing everything.
Sure.
And that's my first question, to calculate risk. And secondly, because I'm going to go into YouTube or webinar, how, from your experience, how would people, for example, in the US or the Western Europe, how would they perceive with my accent? Because I have obviously quite a mixed accent.
Yeah, so can you state that last question again? How would you be perceived what?
How would the Western countries, for example, US and UK, how would that perceive a foreign person with a foreign accent?
Yeah.
Would that be one of the risks?
Yeah, sure. Great question. What's your natural language?
It is English.
It is English, but what other languages do you speak? And then what's your heritage?
Mandarin.
Mandarin Chinese. Okay. Yeah. So there was a lady in the very first program that we came through. Really smart lady, Kelly. Similar position. She was South Korean. And doing the business coaching and strategy thing, and I said to her, like, even just from a market perspective, because she had probably a far thicker accent than you do, and I said, like, if you come into the U.S., Canada, just the Western world marketplace, there are already a ton of us in that marketplace, and yet I don't know how many people there are in that South Korean marketplace. You could become a huge fish in that pond, and she gave me a ton of pushback on it, and I mean, I just knew, like, sitting on a webinar and listening, or a training series with someone that has a very thick accent, and I'm just starting out a relationship with that person, it is a barrier. It is a barrier to success. I wouldn't actually say that yours is a very thick accent, though, because when you actually first started talking, I thought you were Australian. More than you
I'm in New Zealand, so I'll take it as an insult.
There
no,
you go. I was going to say.
I'm kidding.
It's crazy. I was going to say Kiwi more than Australian, because when you started, it's the way that you say your R's. You're far more Kiwi than you are Australian. But I thought maybe it was because of then your Mandarin background. So, I'll listen to anybody that's going to be able to solve the problem that I have. I mean, I'll typically look past that. It all depends on what market you're going after, too. I think the people in a sort of newbie market, there's so many different voices that you can listen to in that market that they'll be far more, I think it would be harder possibly for you to, it is more of a risk in that market. As you rise through different levels of the market, like once you get to the high level, I'll sit through, when I know I've got someone who's a freaking genius in front of me, I'll sit through and struggle, because I have done this, I'll sit through and struggle with their thick, because I've worked in China and Taipei and everywhere else in Southeast Asia. I've struggled through people's accents just so I can pull out some nuggets from them. So I don't know if it's really hard for me to say if the English market is going to not welcome you at all. Again, I think it has more to do with what level of the market you're going to be going after, and it sounds like you're going to be going after sort of the more startup people, right?
Yes, more the people that are looking for home-based business or online business coaching to be able to profit online. Yeah. So basically teach them how to get online and market themselves and sell products, really. So it is.
Do you speak Mandarin then?
I do, but not at the business level. So English is, I would say English would be my, I'll probably speak English a lot more better than my Mandarin.
Oh, okay. The reason I was going to say that is because if there is a market that is looking and hungry to do a lot of things online, it is China. And because I've got a bunch of clients who do a lot of work in China, and they're trying to find out ways to target that market way more than even just the American market, and those are U.S.-based businesses going over there. So, and even myself, that's one of the things that we'll be looking at doing in end of 2016, end of 2017, or start of 2017 is going into the Chinese marketplace more. So
that's worth to bear in mind.
Yeah, so just be mindful of that. I mean, it's a huge market and very underserved right now. And then on the risk side of things, managing risk, there is this big entrepreneurial idea that goes out that says, you got to burn all your ships and, chase after your goals and all that kind of stuff. But that really isn't how many people people have put themselves through personal levels of hell in many ways in order to make their business work. And that is the grit part of Grit and Hustle. That is the grit part. That's the perseverance part of, trying to make this idea come to life. But there is a threshold. I mean, I'm not going to, and I have done this though, because I have lost all of my life savings in a business deal that went completely wrong, plus, put me into a lot of debt, about a decade ago. And, all of it I couldn't have foreseen. But I would never do that again. I was younger, and so I wouldn't put all of every single egg in the basket, plus other people's eggs in the basket, and do that again. It took a little while to crawl out of that. So
I am heavily investing in this business right now because the way that I'm going, there's nothing coming in. I'm just keep putting it out. So I just see it. It's getting more and more risky, and it has to be a point that I got to recognize it enough to do something about it.
Yeah, well, it's the classic poker player thing. The worst thing you can do as a stockbroker is get emotionally tied to your investments the worst thing you could do as a poker player is get emotionally tied to the hand you have or the cards you have in your hand. And the best poker players are those who are just fantastically, they're calculating. And there's probably more lessons in poker playing and business success than there is in anything. So, if I'm going to go to I'm in a couple months, and if I'm going to be in Vegas and I'm going to go to the craps table, I'll have the budget in my head of how much I'm going to be, because I don't ever go there looking to make a bunch of money. I'm going to go there and entertain myself, and I'll always come out a winner then, whether I come back whether I walk away with a lot of chips or I don't. So my threshold is, it could be, $2,000. I'm going to go there, and I'm not going to convince myself that there's more money that to be made on the other side of this $2,000 that I've laid down. So for you, it could be time or it can be money. You're going to put, $5,000 more into this thing until you maybe go and look for another alternative. You're not giving up on your goal. This gets back to the whole idea of being firm and fixed and flexible and adaptable when we're going after our goals. The outcome, whatever that is for you, is being an entrepreneur and starting your business and owning something, or being the online thing. You're firm and fixed on that. But the strategies in the process, we have to be flexible and adaptable with them. That's what true mental toughness is all about. So maybe that outcome doesn't happen in 2016. Maybe it happens in 2018. We don't know. And I'm not saying, trying to deter you, but, sometimes a goal has its own timeline that we can't impose upon it sometimes. So,
yes.
But when it comes to the risk side of things, knowing what your threshold is very important. It's a lesson I wish I would have learned at a younger age. But
when you say threshold, what sort of threshold is in
the money?
Emotional, the money side.
How much more time you're going to put into it? How much more money you're going to put into it? Even the threshold of the people that are around you. So if you've got significant others, or you got other people who you can see them getting really, really stressed. If you're seeing them getting really stressed, the reality is they're even more stressed underneath it. So that's where communication has to come in to play with it. But and I mean, this is a lesson that many people need to learn, and it's that it is not by any stretch of imagination a weak thing that someone has to go and get a supplemental job in order to continue to work on things for their future. You're not giving up on anything. You're just playing a smart game, I think.
Thank you. I think that is probably one of the best advice. I'm considering it.
Yeah.
And even though I've tried not to go down that road, because it is actually quite a time-consuming business.
Yeah.
But I might have to further down the road. But I think what you say is right. Give myself certain time and see where it is. And
then there's other things too, Samantha. Is like if you're trying to build an online business, you've probably built up a wealth of skills in the last 2 years or whatever that you've been chasing this down that can be applied to a different business model while you're still working on that. And for example, maybe you take your online business skill set and you take it to people who don't have an online presence right now, or maybe they have a very weak online presence in your local area in New Zealand, and you help shepherd some of those businesses along so that you are even honing your skills while you're helping other people. You're still essentially working for yourself, and then whatever time you can parse away to continuously try and build your own whatever that online empire is for you, you've still got that capacity. So maybe it's just a redeployment of your resources and assets that could be a way of just bridging a gap right now.
Yes, like a consulting business.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, myself and then even another friend of mine, Ramit Sethi, who does a lot of online stuff, we both agree that one of the best businesses that you can get involved in to start out with is actually consulting, because it allows you to expose yourself to building up your business skill set while not exposing yourself too much to even public ridicule, which is the thing that can stop many people from taking action and getting themselves out there, is the fear of being judged by other people. So Yeah. Anyways.
Can you give me a few ideas? How do you actually get client when you actually want to get into a consulting business?
Well, start with your existing network and just let them know that, and go there with an offer. Just like you've got to have offers on the internet, you've got to have an offer as a consultant. So what is it? What's the micro targeted thing that you can go and help people do? Maybe it's for a local businesses. They don't know. They know that the younger crop of entrepreneurs are coming in and driving traffic to their stores or restaurants or whatever better than they are because they know social media. So maybe you come in and you help people with that. But you can start with your immediate network and then go from there. But I got to get some other questions here too, Samantha. But you can take that question to the group. Okay.
Will do. Thank you so much. Very helpful.
Very
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's hit up Margaret Rushing.
Oh, awesome. Hi, Todd.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
With a last name like that, you must absolutely love the idea of sprints.
I know. It's funny. Yeah, I'm slow about everything else. So first I have to say thank you. Yesterday I met with my accountability partner that your team assigned to me.
Yeah.
And I met with her for the first time yesterday, and I couldn't believe how much in alignment we were with so many things across the board, from chemistry, working in the corporate world and hating it, and then going into the whole mystical thing. So it was really eerie, and she's a big Bernie Sanders fan. So thank you for that. They did an awesome job.
Well, we work hard on it, so that's great to hear.
Yeah. And so my question is, I'm in startup, and I'm designing a program to help women who are working in male-dominated environments, like in corporate and tech and finance. And as I'm interviewing women, it seems like it's really the culture, and at times it's like all I could do is help them to cope, and not necessarily like I want to change the culture.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to get discouraged, because I think that they really do need something to help them. But at the same time, what my ultimate goal is for enough women to be able to stand for what they want and stick around to negotiate and change the culture. So when I'm designing my program, it's a 90-day program, and do you think it's a good idea to first offer a beta program where it's priced a little bit lower, just to test it?
I'm always a big fan of that, Margaret. Always a big fan.
Because I wasn't encouraged to do that, and it doesn't feel right to just, blow out and offer this program at a full price when I'm not even sure if this will serve them.
So, and the other thing I'd give you a suggestion on is there a reason why it's 90 days?
Just because it's long enough that they can see some change.
Then I would go 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a lot of different data.
For the beta part?
Yeah.
Okay.
The beta part could even be shorter, but unless you've got some real serious marketing chops that can get a lot of people through the offer, getting people into 90-day programs it's like, this is a long program for people, but I would just recommend 6 weeks. I've got so many friends that are in not even just friends, but I know some of the people behind Udemy.com and Udacity and Skillshare.com and a lot of those big online education platforms, and I'm privy to some of their back-end data, and 6-week programs is kind of the threshold for a promise to get people to stay engaged. So just think about that. persuading either way, but I would totally do the beta thing to get people in, and one of the kind of promises behind that is that, hey, we're going to do a beta. You're going to get more support from me than you would if you tried to wait and do this later. But the point is to really ensure that I have everything built out in this program. I mean, it's not like you want people to sit there and go, well, do you have everything or not have everything? It's that, right. It's the first time that I've done a lot of this with people one-on-one,
right.
And but now we're going through and we're building this out as a program, because the reality is not everyone can afford to work with me one-on-one. People understand that, they get that. Right. So part of that is I want to work with people, very closely through this process to ensure that there is all holes are filled throughout the program, and the holes are filled via the fact that you get to get more one-on-one access to me, which means that I can't put a lot of people through this program because it's beta.
Right.
One thing that I would, I don't know what your process is, but this is something that I implemented inside of a really big corporation in Manhattan with a female executive that I was working with on this very thing as well, and that was taking, in the online space or business or sales space, people understand the power of masterminds, but it's very much a foreign concept inside of bigger corporations, and yet they think it's the most novel thing when they think about it. So anyways, what I did with her was, because I'm very big on this subject as well, is empowering female executives or just females in general to break through that hard shell male. Because it's the culture is typically dictated by the men that are out there, unfortunately. So anyways, so how do we do that? Females would do a far better job if they would support more female businesses. That's one thing, but that's not what the corporate space is about. So how can we do that in a corporate space? Well, what if, and this is what I shepherded her with, is just basically teaching her how to create a female executive mastermind within the office. And it wasn't a place where people come and bitch and moan or anything like that. It was all about constantly improving our skills and supporting each other. And so they would meet once every 2 weeks in the beginning, and then they moved to once a month after that, after they kind of got the thing going. And they had 8 people in the group. And they would all, instead of her trying to come up with content, it was just like, hey, this is going to be the book that we're going to be working through this month, and it's only this month, so we're all going to come in and then we're going to share our ideas about how there's one thing or 2 things or 3 things that we can personally implement, and then we're going to support each other on that. And it could be just like, I think one of the books was even just it was Made to Stick, the book by Chip and Dan Heath, and that was all about how can we become better at getting our ideas to sound differently than other people. And then, so what's happened, we did that like 6 years ago, and she has become a facilitator of, I think it's 17 different mastermind groups inside that corporation now.
Wow.
And I don't know the exact numbers of this particular company, but their number of female executives that are there definitely looks a lot different than some of the other technology companies that are in that space.
Yeah.
So anyways, just an idea.
Great. Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great example. I didn't even think about, I've been in masterminds before, but I didn't even think about that within.
There's nothing, in the world of change, there is nothing more powerful than facilitation in my view. Getting a collective group of people together, not trying to be the person who stands at the front of the room to be the expert, but getting people to facilitate a conversation, which means that the facilitator needs to have a really good question-asking skills, and drawing out of people their own ideas, because when it's their idea and it's a good idea, they are far more likely to implement it than if it was a great idea coming from you.
Right. And that's what I find a lot of women actually want. Like, they want to be able to do that in their work, but they're not being heard. And so I don't know if I necessarily only want to target executive women, though.
Yeah.
I kind of see myself targeting all the worker bees, which tends to be a lot of...
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No. Target
terrible
exact
market.
line.
Terrible market. Terrible market. No, because they don't, think about it, like the worker bees don't invest in themselves. I mean, what is the absolute best market in personal development? What do you think is the best market in personal development?
The leaders.
No. Salespeople. No one buys more stuff to try to improve because they're all performance-based. The more you've got, I mean, the reality is in the professional development market, the more that a role is tied to performance, the higher the likelihood that person is to hiring coaches, consultants, advisors, buying books. The lower you go down on performance, which is your administrative staff, the less likely those people are to ever buy something on personal development. Very high likelihood of buying fictional material, gossip magazines and stuff like that. And I mean, and this isn't about judging or discrimination or
no. I get
it's just, I mean, the numbers don't frickin' lie. It's just the way that it is. So bad market to try and sell personal development stuff to. Are there people in that market that do buy it? Of course there are. Of course there are. But we're going to let them self-select necessarily. I mean, do you try and build a business around it? No.
Yeah, because I want to target the people who are able to influence a culture.
Totally.
And that would be the female leaders as executive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally just saved you about $1 billion right now.
Thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
I am going to Vegas.
Awesome. Fist bump.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Todd.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's... Holy snapdoodle. There's a lot of people who just started raising hands. You've got to look at the clock, folks. It's 2:45. I can only last another 15 minutes here. It's all good. Give me 1 second. Next up is Laura Wilson. Hi, Laura. I can't hear you. It says your mic is there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, Laura. Next up is Misha. Misha, or Misha?
Misha, Mikhail. Can you hear me? Sorry. Come again? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Thank you for taking my call, and I wanted to echo how amazing your team did the matching of the accountability partners. It's just unbelievable. There got to be some artificial intelligence running behind, maybe some real one.
Well, that's great to hear, and they love getting that feedback because they worked hard on it. So.
All right. So there are 3 distinct reasons I joined the program, but main was I really wanted to take a look at your software, because this is something I wanted to build.
Yeah.
Something like that. Some active to-do list, something which guides you and offers you the best practices around doing your day. Right? There is a lot of advice out there, but finding your kind of personal way would be like full-time job by itself. And I thought it would be great to have kind of software to help you to offer different ways of doing things and let you kind of evaluate what works for you best.
Sure.
So that's kind of the grand vision, and I thought I would go smart about it. And being software engineer, I would not start building software. I would first build my audience. And the first idea was to write a book where I would kind of gather different ideas and use that. As I was writing the book, I realized that probably having some people. The piece. I was trying to differentiate the idea by. I mean, what's the benefit, right? There's gazillions of those to-do apps out there. Yeah. How would I try to kind of differentiate myself in the market? And then I came across of the idea of the flow, right? The flow state, this state where we, perform best and feel the best. And I thought maybe if I position the system as something which gets you into the flow, and I hope it will. So that would be a way to kind of break into this saturated market. And like I said, building audience, writing book. Then I thought would be good to have some interview people around the topic. And now I'm in the program with Navid Maazes. He's a virtual summit.
Yes.
Mastery program, and that's my 90-day goal is to have this virtual summit running.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm working through that, but I still have this doubt in my head. Isn't that too indirect way of getting to my final goal of actually building a mobile app?
Yeah.
I see how you're getting break into the space. You mentioned that your goal for this program is to build asset, and I suspect asset might be the data which you collect. Maybe not the only one, but I see how how you're building the software and this kind of software, and this is awesome. And that's why I have doubts about kind of my way of approaching it.
So your way is you're going to do a virtual summit where you're going to be a virtual summit where you're going to be interviewing who? Flow experts. So the working title of the summit would be like Flow Hacking Bootcamp, right? Okay. Something which would help people to master if not master, then somehow get closer to mastering the flow state and how to harness it. Yeah. So that was the idea for the virtual summit. Mm-hmm. Sure. So just a little bit of feedback on that is not too many, because I've literally been out there talking about flow for 18 years. People don't necessarily wake up in the morning and say, I wish I could get into flow more. They don't. That's not their thing. So work on the title a little bit. If you'd be probably, you can use that as the lens that you're interviewing people through. And you could be talking to whether it's productivity experts, and your working title for your the virtual summit might be not like the productivity not the productivity summit, but something around that. Because it's a subject that everyone is typically trying to solve for themselves. So is it indirect for you? No. If you have a huge list of people who are interested in productivity, and then you release an app that helps people with their productivity, then it's not a bad thing. But if you're trying to build an app that is productivity app, and it's for online entrepreneurs, then I'd be making sure that I'm talking to experts that are in the online space that talk about productivity, right? So make sure that the people that you're interviewing are going to be bringing people to your summit that are predisposed to wanting the thing that you're going to end up building eventually, instead of having a general list. Like for me, even I've got a large list, but that list is filled with very different types of businesses. Because the 90-day year is agnostic. It's not for online people. It's not for retailers. It's for it's an execution engine for anybody. So if I'm going to put out if someone came to with a joint venture offer, even though the list size is large, their group of people might be a small segment of my list. And so, anyways, that's making sure that you're building an audience that's going to be predisposed to wanting what you're going to be putting out later on anyway. Is it indirect? Yeah, it's indirect, but there's lots of great indirect marketing plans that are out there. So.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about productivity, and I still see productivity. We want to talk about benefits, right? And productivity, it still feels more like a feature.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's also
we want to be productive, but why? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, productivity is also a it's like a brand name now. I mean, it's such a popular word. It's almost become a cliche in many ways. But flow, not many people know what that even means. And so, and I mean, trust me. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the flow. I mean, it's the thing that I've coached people on for forever. So, you know, putting it in your working title for your boot camp, I don't think it has enough bite. Like there's not enough of a promise there in your working title. And I mean, at the end of the day, test something. Put together 4 different working titles for your virtual boot camp and put it inside the Facebook group and see what people, you know, give you feedback on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like business is about testing things.
Yep. Well, I thought maybe for that exact reason, flow might be a good way to start because it's some kind of niche, right? Because again, like you said, productivity. I mean, everybody wants productivity. Where to start? How to? What group of people? What's the kind of situational marketing I can use in this case? And that's what I'm struggling with, and that's why I kind of try to use flow as some kind of something which would some way to attract people, some initial group of people. Otherwise, I don't know who to target. That's
well, I mean, you can niche it down with, you know, who you say is in the title of your virtual bootcamp. So it could be the you know, the startup entrepreneurs, getting it all done virtual boot camp, like I don't know, something around there. So now you're talking to startup entrepreneurs and you're helping them get things done. And you're going to bring in people who can talk to startup entrepreneurs on helping them get things done.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's just an idea. I'm not saying that's what you have to take, but I mean, you can niche it down that way. So, but anyways, thanks for the question, Misha. But come into the group and ask the question because I'm interested to see what you can come up with some different titles. Okay.
Yep, will do. Thank you, Todd.
You bet. All right, it's 2:56. Let's do one last call here, and it is with Carolyn Tadamala. Hi, Carolyn.
Hey, how are you? Hi.
Hi.
So I own a bakery, Todd, and I use the profit from the bakery to help kids get education. Anyhow, trying to organize my life so that, you know how you set out with the whole week, Monday marketing, Tuesday stuff, and then Friday finances. Well, I'm trying to get organized in how I do stuff. I live in Calcutta, which is like the city where Mother Teresa did her work, and I live with my family here because not-for-profit is here, but the bakery is in Hyderabad. So I'm traveling a week, and I'm in Calcutta a week.
Okay.
Does that make sense? And so when I'm in Hyderabad, I'm always like from the moment I land to the moment I leave, I'm just at the bakery. I'm trying to meet with businessmen in Hyderabad. I'm trying to get connected. I'm trying to sell more cakes. I'm trying to do the whole affiliate. I don't know what the other term is, but you know what? That was huge for me because I was able to make contacts with people. And so I work nonstop. There's no structure. There's nothing. I just work because that's really the time that I'm actually there. And my kids aren't there. My husband's not there, so I can just work. Then when I'm in Calcutta, I don't get much well, I say I don't get much done. I try to do the social media then, but then I would like some kind of a structure. So I feel like I'm more, like I just feel like the week I'm away is actually a waste.
Yeah. So then what are the most important activities in your business that get, that are lacking when you're away from the bakery?
Social media. I am trying to do a YouTube channel so that it will. You know what's interesting is that now that I started doing the video, not many people from our area even watch the videos, but I'm trying to do it so that it helps with the website, and it just puts the website further up in Google. So my problem is that you don't research too much, just get to work, and I just wonder if I spend way too much time accumulating knowledge, and whereas I could be doing more of hands-on work when I'm away.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you already know the answer to that, because if you ask the question, it's something that's been sitting back here and you've been concerned about it. So more than likely that's the case. But what is the, what are the big marketing activities that truly bring people into your business?
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I'm very new at this. It's been a year.
That's okay. So do you know anybody in Calcutta that has a very successful bakery?
No.
You don't?
No.
Do you know anybody in Calcutta, or do you know of a business in Calcutta that is a successful bakery?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And I know that there's a cultural thing here, but is it within your capacity to go into that bakery and ask to speak with the owner of the bakery and see if they would be a mentor in some capacity for you?
Yes, I tried that, and they're really not into helping.
They're not?
No.
Okay. Is there anybody in a retail business that is successful in your area that would be willing to do that? So they're not in the bakery niche. They're in a different niche, but is there anyone that you know in your circle of influence or your friends or your tribe of people that could put you in touch with someone who is successful at building their retail business or a business, similar type business in India? And the reason I'm asking that is because, so many people are just overcomplicating the process of trying to find out what's working in their area. Like, I don't pretend to know exactly what it takes to, I know the principles behind getting traffic inside the doors of a retail business, but there might be some different things that are at play over in India that, individuals are doing that they've used to scale up their business. And that might be the device that you end up using to grow your bakery in the other city. The other thing, too, is... go ahead.
No, I can try. I do know someone that owns it. Well, he doesn't own the Chinese restaurant, but he does. Chinese restaurant all over India.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a good relationship possibly there. And when you say mentor, it's just like, you're going to them with something specific. It's, I would like to get some sort of insights on, the best activities, the best strategies in our world for getting, people to come into the bakery. I know is your bakery located in an area where you're close to office towers or anything like that?
Yes, yes, we are.
Okay. I don't know if this is an accepted practice over there, and just because other people aren't doing it doesn't mean it's not an accepted practice. But even you going to the to one of a big office inside of the office building and dropping off a whole bunch of samples of your bakery for the office workers there, and a whole bunch of I don't know if you use business cards or whatever, and leaving a bunch of cards in there for people as well. Or
yeah, I do that.
Yeah, okay, and then it could be like dropping off.
I do give out samples.
Yeah, dropping off a thank you note saying, just dropping off a whole bunch of sample goods or sample treats from the bakery because a lot of the people in this office, come by and, frequent the establishment, frequent the bakery all the time. Just wanted to say thank you. Now, there could only be 2 people who actually go to your bakery. That's not what you're saying. What you're saying is a lot of the people there. Well, here's the thing that is interesting about different psychological studies. No one wants to be the outlier many times. So if I'm working for that office, and it's not like I'm pressuring them in any way, but if I'm working in that office and I find out that a lot of the other people in the office go there, and I haven't gone there yet, well, now I'm the outlier. I'm not the person who goes there, so I should start going there too.
Right.
So there's kind of a lot of nuances going in with even just leaving a note like that for people.
Okay, so but what do I do when I'm away from the city? Like, what do I do in Calcutta? Do I just get more, like, again, am I sitting in front of the laptop and trying to get more companies? Like, what can I do when I'm away?
Yeah, so while you're away, you could be contacting a lot of the different businesses, companies in the area around your bakery to try and set up some sort of, corporate deals with them or, little marketing campaigns or something that you could do with them. That could be one thing that you could be doing. And I mean, you could be working on your SEO. That could be one thing that you can be doing as well. But I just don't know how important that is in the Indian market with regards to your type of business.
Yeah, nor do I. I mean, I am following it just kind of blindly now. I really don't see that, anyone's online. Now, with that said, I don't know if if I do make a strong appearance online, people are going to catch on and they start buying online. I don't know if the Indian market has that potential yet.
Yeah.
But considering Amazon has moved to India and we have a couple of local Indian markets that are selling online and grocery stores and stuff, I just thought, hey, why don't I try and see where I stand? But I thank you. I will work on marketing. That interesting you say that because that is what I've been doing. I set up appointments and I just figure out what who I need to meet and try to get in touch with more people while I'm in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be, it's a perfect question for the one post that's inside of the night of the year that's all about retail and local businesses. That strategy thing. So if you go to the pinned post, I have a link that goes straight to that post where you can post your question and ask people in there like, hey, do any of you, any one of you that frequent or go to bakery shops or cupcake stands or whatever the case is in your areas, any great marketing ideas that you see that they've used in order to grow their business,
Okay. All right. Thank you, Todd.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Have a great day. And thanks for joining us so late at night, too.
Thank you.
All right. Everybody, it is a few minutes past the hour, and I need to be jumping on to another call here. But thanks for those of you that had your hands raised. If you want to jump into the Facebook group and ask, and I'll pop in there and help out as well. So ciao for now. And if you haven't booked for Vegas, book for Vegas. Ciao, guys.